Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. We are from Group 7. Today we will talk about productivity in work. Okay, let me introduce my team first. There are me, Tia Febrianti, Nabila Zakia Afra, and Lailatul Husna. Some important points that we will discuss in this presentation are the first one is concept of productivity in word formation. Second one, role of the lexicon in word formation. The third one, semi-productivity in morphology. And the fourth one, productivity and creativity in word formation. And the last one is constraints in word formation productivity. The first presentation will be presented by Lailatul Husna.
Okay, guys. First, I will explain what is productivity. Okay, so productivity in linguistics refers to the ability of word formation process to create new words and distinguishes between productive and unproductive patterns. And productive is also related to regularity in language, both in form and meaning, although these two do not always match. By studying productivity, we can understand how new words are formed and then how they are stored in the lexicon and how language develops over time. Next. Okay, next we have productivity in shape, formal generality, and regularity. Productivity in linguistics refers to how widely formality, generality, and consistently formal regularity, a morphological rule can be applied. Okay, so guys, there are two important ideas here. The first one is generality, which means how widely a rule can be used, and the second one is regularity, which means how consistent the pattern is. For example, the suffix ness is highly productive because it can be added to many adjectives like happy become happiness, dark become darkness, soft become softness, weird become weirdness. And the suffix th is less productive because it only works with certain words like warm become warm, deep become depth, long become light. And also some forms depends on pronunciation patterns such as arrive become arrival, but not eat become eatle. Next, we have productivity in meaning, semantic regularity. Productivity in linguistics can also be seen from meaning. This is called semantic regularity, which means how easy it is to predict the meaning of new word. A process is highly productive semantically if its meaning is productive when meanings become unpredictable. This shows that productivity in forms does not always match productivity in meaning, so both must be analyzed together. For example, some forms are very clear like quick become quickly, slow become slowly, careful become carefully. But in other case, the meaning is less predictable like active become activity and local become locality, which does not simply mean local condition. And semi-predictable meaning like readable, wash become washable, break become breakable, and available meaning not fully transparent. This show that a rule can be regular in form but not always regular in meaning. Okay, next we have productivity in derivation and inflection. In linguistics, productivity can be seen through the distinction between inflection and derivations. Okay, now let's compare derivation and inflection. Inflections change a word to show grammar, like tense, but does not change its meaning and word class. While derivation creates new words and often change meaning and word class. example, uh, inflection like walk become walk, even irregular forms like go become when or sing become song still clear because it show past tense. Okay, derivation example govern become government, develop become development. The meaning is not always clear, such as depart become department, relate become relation. Okay, next we have productivity in compounding. In linguistics, compounding is a highly productive word formation process that combines two or more words to create new lexical items. It is very productive in form because many words, especially nouns, can be freely combined. However, in terms of meaning, compounding is less regular since the meaning of a compound is not always predictable from its part. Despite this, speakers can still understand new compounds through context and general knowledge. This, for example, this process is very productive in form because many words can be combined, such as toothbrush, bookstore, laptop bag, water bottle, and the meaning is not always predictable, such as snowball and bat. But others are not like blackboard and butterfly. Even so, speakers can usually understand them through the context. Okay, next we have measuring productivity. Measuring productivity aims to determine how active a word formation process is. Using more objective methods rather than intuitions, it can be analyzed through qualitative approach and quantitative approach. Okay, guys, there are two main ways. Yeah, the first one is qualitative, which looks at whether speakers accept and understand new words, and the second one is quantitative, which looks at how often words appear in real data. However, high frequency does not always indicate high productivity since some forms may be common but no longer used to create new words. Therefore, productivity is better understood as the potential to generate new words and the extent to which speakers accept them. For example, happiness and sadness are accept, but sad is not. It is important to note that frequent use does not always mean high productivity. What matters more is whether new words can still be created and accepted. Next, we have role of the lexicon in word formation. In linguistics, the lexicon is a system that stores words with their meanings, grammatical information, and possible combinations. It plays a key role in word formation by providing base forms for morphological process and storing irregular forms that cannot be explained by general rules. This shows that word formation depends not only on rules but also on lexical storage. Some, for example, some forms, especially irregular forms like go become when, must be stored because they do not follow rules. Others, like teach become teacher or happy become happiness, are formed through rules. This shows that word formation depends on both rules and storage. Okay, next we have lexicon and word formation. The relationship between the lexicon and word formation is complementary. Lexicon and word formation work together, guys, and works through two main mechanisms: storing words in the lexicon and forming new words using morphological rules. Not all words need to be stored because speakers can create new ones using rules. At the same time, frequently used patterns become more productive and easier to accept. Okay, for example, the first example is go. This word is already stored in our mental dictionary or lexicon. And the second example is teach becoming teacher. Here, the suffix er is added to create a new word. Teach is a verb, while teacher is a noun. And the last example shows that a base word plus a suffix can make a new word. For example, teach plus er become teacher. This means language combines memory and creativity. Okay, next we have lexical storage versus rule-based formations. In linguistics, there is a key distinction between words stored in the lexicon and words formed through rules. Speakers do not only memorize words, but also use morphological rules to create new ones. Regular forms can be generated productively, while irregular forms must be stored because they do not follow general patterns. These combinations makes language more efficient, as speakers rely on both memory and rule-based formation. Okay, for example, some words must be stored, especially irregular one, like go become when, or good become better. Other words can be formed using rules, like walk become walk, clean become cleaner. And sometimes speakers make mistakes, like good or gooder, which shows they are applying rules too generally. Okay, the last one, we have blocking in the lexicon. Blocking occurs when a word that already exists prevents the use of another possible forms. This shows that productivity is not completely free because it is limited by words already stored in the lexicon. Speakers usually prefer familiar and commonly used forms rather than new ones, which help keep language clear and efficient. For example, we say thief, not stealer, and went, not good, or better, not gooder. This happens because the correct forms already exist in the lexicon. Looking shows that productivity is limited and speakers prefer familiar words to keep communication clear. Okay, the next material will be presenting by Nabila Zakia Afra.
Okay, so next, what is semi-productivity? So, definition in English morphology, not all word formation rules work the same way. Some rules can create new words, really, and others have stopped working completely. But most rules fall somewhere in between, and that in between area is what we call semi-productivity. Next, yeah. So, can you see there are three? So, productive, semi-productive, and unproductive. So, for productive, ness, yes, suffixness. So, attached to virtually any adjective, new words go completely unnoticed. For example, gray become grayness, happy become happiness, delicious become deliciousness, like that. And for semi-productive, there is et, works in many cases but has gaps even when conditions seem correct. For example, selective, selectivity, right? Capable, capability, right? But in offensive and strategic, we don't use offensivity and strategicity. Yes. And for unproductive, which is all completely frozen, even with a phonological rule in place, no new words form. Right? For example, arrive, arrival, refer, referral, and explain and over, we can not use this pattern. Next. So this is for what's that for the semi-productivity. So this divided into four. A phonological restriction. For the first, phonological restriction. So a rule only applies to base with a specific sound or structure, regardless of meaning. So suffix n to blacken, redden, soften, like that. Only attached to monosyllabic adjectives ending in a plosive p, b, t, d, k, and g, or fricative s and v. Yes, for example, black become blackened, red become reddened, soft become softened, but obscure and yellow not become obscurant or yellow, like that. And for semantic, a rule is blocked by the meaning of the base, not its form. So prefix unhelpful, unkind, uncomfortable works on adjectives describing reversible states, right? But resist base where the state is permanent or irreversible. Like unhelpful, yes. Unkind, yes, but unpregnant and undead, we don't use that pattern. Next, yes, for morphological, a rule only applies to bases with a specific internal structure, not meaning and also not sound. Et, yes, loves Latinate suffixes like I, able, all, ites, os. Without these, et sounds wrong. For example, sensitive, so sensitivity, capable, capability, electric, electricity. But gray and rich, we don't use this pattern. So there's no grayty or richity, right? And next is vocabulary. So Latin or French origin suffixes, ed, os, all, I, work only on Latin origin basis, not on native Germanic English word. So as you can see, egg become active, brutal become brutality, and there's no fight become fightive, yes, and brutal brutality, so on and so forth. So this is not use this pattern. Okay, next. This is semantic blocking. So when a word already exists for a meaning, the grammar resists creating a second word for the same meaning. So maybe there is no word from gloriosity. So instead use gloriosity, we use glory, right? And instead use good or gooder or better, we use when, better, and worse. So that's we call block. So this word is blocked from the origin, the original pattern, like that. And this the productivity gradient is we use this suffix nas, ed, the, and all. So nas is highly productive because any adjective, new words unnoticed, even Dionysius use this pattern. And et is semi-productive, Latinate only, yes, like I told before, gaps where rule could apply. And the is unproductive, present vocab, so like that, length, warmth, but cold, we don't use this pattern. And all is rule exists, zero new words, and conversal is impossible. Yes. Next. So we move to productivity and creativity. So this is a different types. So productivity is the automatic use of word formation rules to create understandable new words. Like for example, happiness, darkness, like this is a common words we usually hear. And for the creativity, the intentional or noticeable creation of new words for stylistic or communicative purpose. For example, engage, monikage. This is like improvement of language. That's we call creative. Next. Yes. And the traditional view. So productivity is automatic, rule governed, and predictable. Yes. But creativity is intentional, more noticeable, and more creative. So traditional linguistics treated productivity and creativity as separate categories, guys. Next. So this is analogy between productivity and creativity. So analogy means creating new words based on familiar patterns, right? It connects productivity and creativity. Speakers often create new words by following familiar patterns. Example, walk. This is the original. Walk become walked, play become played, but go, we don't use this pattern, right? So go, we cannot say good for the verb to, but we say when, right? And break, we don't say break it, but bro, like that. So this is, yes, next. This evolution of rules. So in creativity, yes, this is we call the gate pattern. So a creative word, okay, see, a creative word can develop into a productive pattern over time. So for example, Watergate. Yes, this is originally the name of political scandal. Yes, so Watergate started as a creative coinage. Yes, but later, yes, the word gate become a productive pattern. For example, engage, engage. So basically, creative forms can develop into productive word formation pattern as well. So yes. And next material will be presented by Feby. Okay.
Okay, next, the material is constraints in word formation productivity. Okay, word formation rules are not completely free. Even when a rule is considered productive, its application is still limited by several types of constraints. This constraint reduces the possibility of forming new words and explain why some logically possible forms do not occur in actual language use. Next slide. Phonological constraints. Okay, phonological constraints are related to the sound structure of words. Certain affixes can only attach to bases with specific phonological patterns. Maksudnya itu batasan fonologis itu berkaitan dengan adanya pola bunyi di dalam kata. Kayak ada beberapa afiks yang cuma bisa ditambahkan pada kata dengan struktur bunyi tertentu. Di sini ada suffix is. Nah, biasanya itu digunakan pada kata dengan pola tekanan tertentu, kayak ada global jadi globalize, ada private jadi privatize. Nah, itu contoh yang benar. Nah, kalau contoh yang salahnya itu ada korup jadi corruptize. Yes. And then ada secure jadi securize. Nah, nextnya ada suffix n. Biasanya itu ditambahkan pada satu suku kata. Contohnya ada black jadi blacken, and red jadi redden. Can next slide, Nabila. Okay. The next material is semantic constraints. Semantic constraints depend on the compatibility of meaning between the base and the affix. For the example, prefix de. Nah, prefix de itu refers to an action. Kayak maksudnya itu prefix de itu artinya kan membalikan suatu tindakan atau menghilangkan sesuatu. Tapi kita nggak bisa pakai prefix ini buat semua kata kerja. Jadi prefix ini cuma bisa dipakai untuk tindakan yang bisa dibalik. Contohnya ada di sini colonize, the colonize. Nah, colonize itu kan artinya menjajah atau menguasai suatu wilayah. Kalau ditambah the, jadi artinya kan mengakhiri penjajahan atau mengembalikan ke kondisi yang semula. Tapi kalau yang contoh kedua kan ada the assassinate. Assassinate itu artinya membunuh seseorang. Nah, kalau digabung dengan the assassinate itu artinya kan nggak bisa ya, karena kata membunuh itu nggak bisa dibalik. Nah, intinya itu prefix the itu cuma bisa dipakai kalau tindakannya itu bisa dibalik. Kalau nggak bisa dibalik itu berarti nggak bisa pakai suffix the. Prefix the. Okay, next slide, Nabila. The next material is pragmatic constraints. Pragmatic constraints are related to usefulness in real communication, even if a word is structurally, and semantically possible. It may not be used if it is not communicatively necessary. Nah, maksudnya itu pragmatic constraints itu berkaitan dengan apakah sebuah kata itu benar-benar diperlukan dalam komunikasi. Nah, maksudnya itu walaupun suatu kata secara struktur itu maknanya benar, tapi kalau dipakai itu belum tentu dia itu bisa penting untuk dipakai. Nah, contohnya itu ada suffix in. Nah, ini for female marker. Tapi ini dalam bahasa Jerman contohnya. Kayak Königin, itu in English itu artinya queen. Nah, ini untuk manusia. Tapi kalau yang Catherine, I don't know how to pronounce, itu female beetle. Nah, itu contohnya untuk hewan. Okay, next slide, Tabila. The next material is morphological constraints. Morphological constraints depend on the internal structure or category of the base word. Some affixes can only attach to word with specific morphological properties. Nah, morphological constraint itu berkaitan dengan struktur internal atau jenis kata. Jadi nggak semua afiks itu bisa ditambahkan ke semua kata. Jadi harus sesuai dengan bentuk atau kategori katanya. Kayak di sini ada dari bahasa Ibrani, diber atau dibur. Nah, itu artinya itu speak, jadi speech. Terus ada kataf, jadi kitaf. And then ada suffix ja in Russian. Gover on, itu gover on ja. Itu artinya talker. Female talker. Next slide, Nabila. The next material is borrowed vocabulary constraints. Some word formation rules apply only to words from specific language origins, such as Latin or Germanic. Nah, di sini itu batasan ini itu berkaitan dengan asal kata. Jadi beberapa aturan itu cuma bisa dipakai kalau dari bahasa tertentu, kayak ada bahasa Latin, bahasa Jerman. Kalau di sini ada contoh dari bahasa Inggris juga. Bahasa Inggris itu contohnya ada suffix ed. Nah, contohnya itu di sini ada active jadi activity and hopeful jadi hopefulity. Jadi kalau coba pakai kata lain seperti hopeful itu kan kita bisa tuh kayak yang contoh. Kalau hopeful itu tuh nggak bisa. Kalau yang hopefulity itu nggak bisa digunakan karena bahasa Inggris itu punya beberapa lapisan kosakata dengan asal yang berbeda, dan tiap lapisannya itu punya pola pembentukan kata tersendiri. Okay guys, that's all from our material today. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.